might mention that Fabio now, as the president, will sit down and review everybody who's on a committee. We have 2 new board members, so we may do a little shuffling. We'll reach out to everybody to see who might want to come on security or sunset and dine.
Yeah, this is not it.
Maintenance.
If we have more fun. Yeah, we have a security committee, and it's once a month, right? And once a month.
And then
the streetscape.
Streetscape and planning, and then the sunset and dine group.
Sunset and dine, but there's like security, there's the monthly.
Yeah, and they're ad hoc in the sense that they don't pass motions. You know, we don't worry about quorums or minutes because we don't have them set up that way. They're advisory, and we bring their recommendations to the board.
Sunset and Dine is the festival that we do with restaurants. Probably you know everything on that. Good. Now we have new business.
Yeah, so Joe has been kind of the running interference on this neighborhood integrity initiative, but I will tell you that the LA Chamber is working on creating a coalition right now, Communities United for Jobs and Housing, and they're intended to be a very diverse citywide coalition from labor, environmental groups, housing advocates, nonprofits, business community, neighborhoods, etc., who will stand against this proposed 2-year development moratorium being proposed by the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. So what we are asking at this point is nothing more than if you want to add your name, Central Hollywood Coalition / Sunset and Vine Bid, to the growing list of organizations that are signing on to Communities United for Jobs and Housing. I know they're working on coming up with some kind of a campaign effort, hiring a consultant, helping to come up with the messaging and the research that will be necessary to speak out about this. But in the meantime, I know several of you individually have signed these letters and will be added to the list, but we wanted to give the board an opportunity if you wanted to be included.
And you can send money.
You know what, I don't know that they are fundraising yet.
There's 2 forms. You have one? There's another one, but
fundraising meetings are officially.
Yeah.
no?
But it's kind of.
Yeah, I don't think they've actually formed a committee yet.
They have, it's just, it'll be forthcoming, I think, information that they have a campaign director now and a whole kind of plan.
Okay.
Are you questioning already the part what? Got it.
So if you need a motion.
If you're so inclined, yeah.
To be
listed as the Central Hollywood Coalition Sunset and Vine Bid as supporting Communities United for Jobs and Housing.
anyone wants to move on?
Well, let me ask a question, and we've talked about this in the past. Maybe a little bit of the pro and the con.
Yeah.
You know, just have a little discussion about what benefit we might have of going in and potential harm by not.
I think it's entirely up to you. I mean, this is certainly the proponents of this measure are driven by their angst about what's happening in Hollywood. And what's frustrating, I think, for many of us is that this is a community that tried for 8 years to get a community plan adopted, and then it was sued and invalidated. So it's like running in a hamster cage. You know, the proposal says that they want all 35 community plans in the city updated, and that if any project deviates from the 1980s era community plan that they're operating under, they cannot proceed. So it's going to drive a monkey wrench into development of housing, commercial, mixed use, and probably create a investment chilling effect, I think, on Los Angeles. It's already pretty hard to develop here, and which is
The projects that are already started and just sitting.
Right. So, I mean, would your name on this materially change, the future of this? No. Do you want to wait for a while? You certainly can. you know,
Let's look at the people that paying the bid, people that support this. What do you think they want?
well, I would leave that
What,
to you guys.
what about things that the bid property owners, what would you like to see?
Well, I think that's a very valid point, Fabio. Obviously, property owners are looking at the value of their property and how it will evolve over time. And obviously, with a slowing of growth in the community, it's going to negatively, most likely negatively impact property values. So I would think that as a property owner myself here in Hollywood, I would not be in favor of slowing down development. At least I would think that's how most property owners would think about this. The concern that I have is the political impact with respect to this issue, and what I think what's driving this on the other side is getting developers and wealthy property owners against the common people that live and work in the community that don't have a voice that gets heard. And that's what they're trying to see how this evolves. So that's my concern is if the property owners, developers, and so forth really jump on the bandwagon on this, it's going to be, you see, this is exactly what we were telling you was going to happen. It's us against them. So that's where I have a little bit of concern about this. I've talked to Joe about it, and I think, I would love to see kind of a more grassroots effort from the people who really live and work in the community, that want to see growth and that want to see development from the standpoint of how they want to see our community evolve, for it to be a live, work, play community. And this is what we really want. We don't want it the development and the kinds of development that we're seeing to stop. So I just have ambivalent feelings about kind of creating a position with property owners saying, yeah, we don't like this.
May I move that we adopt this, and then we can have
Discussion?
that all be ready?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually technically the way to do it, have a motion on the floor, and then either reject it or table it or approve it. So Drew's moved, that
So,
we sign, yeah.
all right, so who's gonna second this? Right, Rosenthal, beautiful. And it's, everybody in favor?
So discussion, so I think
Discussion.
we're
Oh,
going to
so we gotta discuss it,
Yeah,
okay.
that is
sorry.
Robert's rules, actually, that's more formal way to do it.
So I can tell you the coalition is made up of a lot of nonprofits, every single affordable housing developer, every single construction trade, the hotel trades, Move LA, the Bike Coalition. It is a grassroots organization because it affects every single affordable housing project. It affects every park, the Hollywood Central Park. It affects the hospital, children's hospital expansion. It affects, the bid for the Olympics, all the things that are needed to get to that, move the, mobility plan. I mean, all of that goes away. It's a pretty far-reaching, and it's not just the language of it. Anything that's requiring a conditional use for parking, so anything that wants to be more transit-oriented development in the city, this would stop. Not just projects needing a general plan amendment. So it's an extremely devastating impact on the city of LA. And it's not just Hollywood; it's the whole LA. So I mean, a lot of that information is going to be presented, I think, to the coalition soon. I know there's an economic impact study underway and polling and a lot of information gathering, but this is a very bad measure for the future of LA.
City of LA or LA County? City of LA.
City county.
So Adam, let me ask you, just your thoughts on this. Having the bid specifically, which is the property owners of the community coming out and supporting this, does this help the cause or not?
I think it does. I think it's one of many voices who are against the measure, and I can get you to the list, but it's an extremely broad-based grassroots coalition. I mean, the developers are not involved in it really. So
I think
it's a unique, I think, coalition in that respect. It's a lot of organizations and groups that wouldn't normally kind of fall into the same umbrella.
when you take a stand on anything, I think there are always gonna be people that aren't gonna like your position, and that's why you have a democracy, because you have people that think different ways. We are supposed to have a stand on whatever issues we feel are impacting the people that we represent. And the people that we represent are the business improvement district. And I think that it's a real detriment to, this proposal is a real detriment to the businesses. If we can't take a stand on this, then
We have to take a firm stand.
yes, we have to make our decision then.
Yeah, this cannot pass, it's gonna be a big problem for the whole city.
And yeah, there are a lot of people that own property that are not going to be happy with it.
I think you made a good point, Adam, and it's just very important in my thinking about this that all of the organizations, especially people that are for, not just jobs and housing. I mean, that's a very broad perception, and that can be interpreted as those are just the developers talking. So it really needs to be brought to the surface who the organizations are specifically, and that needs to be kind of at the forefront of this initiative to refute this. It's important that people see that, right?
Agreed.
It would affect funding for public schools, wouldn't it? So for a lot of people that are sending their kids to public schools, it's a very big deal, especially that, they're already cutting back a lot of the services and winter vacation longer.
Only the school is being constructed, it's a.
Oh, it doesn't affect it.
All of the development fees that it's $2.9 square foot of all these projects, so it's $1 billion dollars in schools that won't go to US.
Okay,
Yeah,
development fees, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money.
I'm good to vote.
I'm good to vote.
All right, you have a motion and a second on the,
All right.
floor.
I'm in favor.
So who's in favor?
Continue the discussion, right? Wasn't your motion?
No.
No,
my
the
motion
discussion
is
It was to prove, yeah.
to approve.
And then-
And then we opened it for discussion, and now we're voting on.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Ready to vote?
Let's try
Everybody's in
to-
favor?
Any opposed and abstain?
Any opposed? No abstain?
I'll abstain.
Okay, so we have Mike.
Abstains.
Everybody else is in favor.
All right, so
Is it the
with
right
respect to this form, I would, with these 3 boxes down below, you have my permission to publicly acknowledge my opposition, which would be CHC. You have my permission to use my name and or my organization on outreach and campaign related materials and collateral. Then you have my permission to provide my contact information to the media, and you have my permission to use the following quote. We have no quote. Do you want, if the media contacts me or Fabio as the president, do you want us to speak, or do you just want to have the organization listed?
I think it would be, you are so good about this, you have come up against this and done a good job. I would love to have you be the spokesperson for it.
I mean,
You don't want me to?
You want to get yourself in there.
Tell me what I think.
Maybe we should come up with a quote that,
maybe we could do that for next meeting. We'll work with Haynes. We'll put this in front of the Hollywood board next week also, and then see if we can come up with some talking points that speak appropriately to what you
what
represent.
we were talking about, that just about it being inclusionary for everyone in this community, not just property owners.
Well, we are in the midst of a transit-oriented development zone. The whole purpose of building the subway and building out this community was to create a live-work hub, which we do see happening. I mean,
Yeah,
we
very
have
much.
evidence of people are living here and working here and decreasing their reliance on their vehicles, and this is a vision of where Los Angeles is heading, and this would throw a complete monkey wrench into that. Okay.
So we got that done.
Let's see, there's no old business.
Now we
Okay.
action.
So we deferred from last meeting the change order between HPOA and CHC. This is the thing, Brian, you were looking at a few
Yeah, I
minutes
was
ago.
jumping the gun, sorry
Yeah.
about that.
So I had an orientation meeting with our two new board members before this meeting, but I think everyone understands that the management agreement between CHC and HPOA, each year we just update it. It goes for 1 year. So we did increase the amount this year from 157 to 165, and it was largely driven by the rent increase that we experienced in this facility. And we did talk to you about that a few months ago. So that is a change. The services that we provide, if anything has changed, I've done an underline or a strikeout. I know you already asked Brian, why did I strike out the press kit? I think what we have found is with the new technology world, nobody really has press kits anymore. Everything is online. So doesn't mean that we would not provide information to the media, whether it be our development map or, infographic information or information about what's happening in the Sunset, but we no longer have a press kit like the olden days. Let's see if there's anything else that's much
The
different.
music festival,
Yeah, I actually, I think we're having another meeting of the music festival steering committee, is it next week, Devin? Yeah. And we may end up bringing back to you a greater role for Sunset in the music festival because actually so many venues are in the Sunset bid. Amoeba Records and the Palladium and that whole Cahuenga strip with Urban Outfitters and Record Parlor. They're all in the Sunset bid. Arguably, some of the coolest places are in the Sunset bid. So we might want to come back to you and have this be something that you're more actively involved in. So that's included that. If there's any other questions about things that have changed, but this would keep us going for another year.
and the freeway off-ramp grant issue with DWP.
Yeah, I think we ended up steering that money, correct me if I'm wrong, Matthew, from the freeway cleanup to the tree well. See that on page 8?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Which has been a decision of the streetscape committee.
So we still get that grant, you just added everything like,
What's that?
same grant, different way. to
Different
spend
way,
it.
yeah, it's at the discretion of the committee. The
What-
one thing I'm wondering if I did not include in here, but it strikes me that it doesn't really have to go in here, but just FYI, we will start meeting and talking about bid renewal this summer. So, we were talking about that in our little orientation meeting. We actually have to be well underway with starting bid renewal in the fall, or, November or so. So that's another thing we will start to work on, with you in the Hollywood bid.
3 more years.
Well, we expire December 2018. However, the actual plan and documentation has to be submitted to the city of LA perhaps the fall of 2017. So it takes about 18 months to pull this off.
So just remind me, I know it's a little bit off topic, but it has something to do with the removal of that provision to clean the off ramps. We determined that was a Caltrans responsibility, so the bid couldn't participate in that, and we had to, so we're shifting those funds to another use.
Well, I think, Matthew, I don't know if that comes up under your regime or Sarah's.
Yeah, that was the previous grant application. The latest one from last year was, we applied for tree well maintenance.
So it's the discretion, every year DWP does tend to provide those grants, and then the committee has to, say what they're gonna use it for. So it could be, redeployed in the coming year if you wanted to.
All right, the question that I had really was, is it within our jurisdiction to get up on those ramps to a certain degree and do some cleaning, or not?
I think that you used that money before to pay Clean Street to do that. So, but right now, you don't really have the money to do that unless you were to find some grant money to do that.
Yeah, I'm still just using the Caltrans maintenance system to notify them of those issues.
And it's
we are
pretty
not-
slow.
Yeah, we are not doing that ourselves right now.
Are we doing the Gower, were we doing the Gower exit back then?
The Van Ness Sunset exit, yeah.
That was the only one.
That was the one there was some pretty big encampments there and panhandling right as people got off the freeway.
And
We,
just Clean Street now, take care of that.
nobody's taking, I
Not
mean,
even
Caltrans
taking
is
that.
taking care of that presumably, and the CHP.
Okay, well, I'd just like to bring that up as another topic to discuss in the future, just because it's here. Those off-ramps are, that's kind of like the gateway to our community, and if we leave it up to Caltrans, it's just looking dirty most of the time. And when we have had the opportunity to clean it, when Sarah was doing that, big difference.
Yeah.
We got up there and kept those pretty nice, so I think that's something we can address in the future. I'd
Well,
like to
the
see
chair
that.
of the streetscape committee could put that on for discussion in the future.
But what actually you talking about? Which one you talking about?
Well, I get off on
No, we
Coenga.
can,
Coenga.
we,
Oh, if we have.
Coenga South.
If we have the funds, we can designate it, but we did it for tree wells
Tree well.
this
Okay.
past cycle. We have not submitted for this year or decided where it's gonna go, so we can discuss it.
that could be done in the coming year.
Do we need to make a note that the numbering needs to be correctly? Under maintenance operations, it is 1, 2, 3, 5.
Oh, sure, I'll fix that. Thank you. I'll fix it.
Okay, so we need to vote for this. So in a motion for the approval of change of order between HBOA and CHC for the rest of the year. Anybody wants to move it?
I'll make a motion.
Carol, second, right? And everybody's in favor about this? So, anybody against that or abstain? You pass. And then we have this, we're gonna review the LACD's comprehensive homeless strategy.
Yeah, I'm really not ready to recommend a response. Again, I've been gone for 2 weeks and apologize for that. But today, actually, the city council held a hearing on, I think we talked about this at the last board meeting. The city has come up with a big strategy and the county has come up with a strategy. A lot of it does interweave. The question was whether or not we wanted to submit a letter on behalf of the bid on supporting or any part of that strategy. I just included a copy of the Fashion District's letter as an example. But I think what I'd like to recommend is if there is still a need to somehow communicate next month on any aspect of the strategy, that we bring back a specific recommendation for the board. But I'm not prepared to tell you exactly what we can say right now.
I'd just like to reiterate what I suggested at the last meeting. I'd like to see a focus on the most dangerous individuals, the ones that have actually been involved in assaults, multiple assaults in the community, to take action on dealing with those individuals first, as a priority anyway.
Too, I think one of the issues, one of the things I didn't hear in the proposal today from the city was anything about mental health,
Outreach?
It was an outreach, but it was to help them, everybody get housing. And as we know, the young people that are homeless in great part don't wanna be housed. So they're doing $4 billion and there's just, we wanna have housing, we wanna do all this stuff, but it's not addressing having the physicians part of that piece, which I think is so much more important. You really need to find out who is not going to put people in a house that can barely even keep themselves alive because they're
Without the
so
supportive services.
crazy. They need supportive services and none of that was in those proposals.
Yeah, and that's where the county is kind of responsible for all of the mental health and supportive services side of the homeless
They're
equation.
clearly not doing it.
Right, so that's why I'm not, like, nothing we're gonna say right now is gonna change the direction of this, but what's gonna be interesting is in the next 30 days to see if there's any pieces of this that need additional advocacy or fall out of the conversation. And then maybe we can weigh in. But you're right, I think it is inadequate on the mental health component as well, which we definitely see pretty huge impact of that in Hollywood.
Yep.
Well, we'll wait.
All right, I'll keep you posted. So, do you have a letter, Laura? So I had, I've been briefing you on the situation for the past couple months ever since Kilroy brought to our attention that on the Secretary of State's website, it indicated that the Franchise Tax Board had suspended the tax exempt status for Central Hollywood Coalition, and that was initially owing to the fact that when Duke was treasurer, he apparently did not file a $10 filing fee with our state tax return for 2012. And because Duke's name was listed for, on the Secretary of State website as the agent for service of process, I didn't even know that existed, for maybe 18 months as the FTB was attempting to inform us through Duke, we did not know that happened. So Kilroy's due diligence noticed that, brought it to our attention. We immediately proceeded to pay our $10 fee for 2012 plus a penalty $65 check, sent it off to the Franchise Tax Board and waited, and we had to reapply completely, bylaws, articles of incorporation, all of our data to reapply for our tax exempt status. So in December, I've been telling you that they said it would take 60 to 90 days and checking had not been changed on the website. So apparently this letter, which is dated 12/21/15, was mailed to 1680 9th Street. Of course, we moved on 12/11. We never got this letter, so found out right after the first of the year we were able to get somebody to actually take a phone call and email this to us, that they decided to proceed to do an audit and determined that in taxable year ending 2004 to 2006, the Form 199 was not filed for CHC. And again, this preceded the formation of the bid, preceded HPOA taking over the bid. This was probably during the years when there was a committee working to form the bid. And we don't have those records. RBZ, we've asked RBZ to draft a letter for us to the Franchise Tax Board explaining that happened before we took over management of this contract. And there's apparently a provision that if you were an organization that brought in less than $25,000, you may have been exempt from certain filings. And during those years, I don't know if any of you were on that committee forming the bid, there probably was not a lot of money coming into this organization. So it also said here that they hadn't gotten the 2012 and the 2014 filing fee. We have canceled checks for those payments to go with our Form 199. So we're in the process of drafting a letter to go back to the Franchise Tax Board to document that history, document that these 2 checks have been paid and cashed. And I just wanted to keep you posted on that.
We tend to do this, State Board. We can file the 3rd quarterly report, and then it's not true.
They never find, they
Yeah,
never
the money comes,
give you
never
credit
fail.
for it.
Every 6 months you get a letter.
So it's,
It's normal.
okay, we're working on it. Public Records Act request, our friend Adrian is here in the room, just as I try to keep you posted on where we are with Mr. Riskin's request. I have I had 41 pending requests from Mr. Riskin, and then today I think I got another 6 or 7. So, I have a lot, to respond to. Some of them are extremely voluminous, and I've been out for 2 weeks. I will say that Mr. Riskin did give me a little grace, knowing that I was going to be gone and not in a position to respond, but just want to keep you apprised that this continues to be a priority for us to respond to Mr. Riskin, but at this point I will admit to you that it is an extremely voluminous amount of information that he is asking for.
I'd like it for the record that these requests, well, presumably valid, are burdensome on a small task. I'd like that noted for our bid board records.
Thank you. Did you get that, Lauren? So 2 more things, and then we can go to dinner. So I just wanted to let you know, and I don't think the new board members know this, but in November I found out that I had been awarded a fellowship with the Durfee Foundation. It's the Stanton Fellowship. It's a $100,000 fellowship over a 2-year period that allows me to take up to 3 months away from my job, and the organization is reimbursed from the grant, and also to fund expenses associated with research or travel or conferences to tackle an issue that, in my opinion, would have a material positive impact on life in Los Angeles if I could actually make some traction. So the issue I ended up choosing was the issue of the severely mentally ill people who languish on the streets of Hollywood. Because you know, we've been tracking some of these individuals for years, our so-called top 14 people. And so I did take my first 2 weeks off. It was extremely fruitful. I was actually able, I'll just give you a couple of examples. I went to the Department 95 Mental Health Court on the first day. There's a gentleman who's been living in an alcove up here in right past between McCadden and Las Palmas for about 15 years, severely schizophrenic. He's been living there, and the community has been very concerned about his health, and we have a kind of a strategy now in Hollywood where we encircle these folks that we're very concerned about and document all of our interactions and everything that would suggest that the person is gravely disabled and unable to take care of themselves and in danger of dying. And in fact, on that particular day, the judge declared him gravely disabled, and he was placed under the care of the public guardian, which means that he will be hospitalized in a psychiatric facility for a year and treated. And what we have seen happen on at least 4 other instances of people that we've helped in Hollywood, they come out from under that experience after a year, they've had a year of treatment and medication, and they move into a less restricted environment. And so the process, though, of getting a judge to agree to that and to go through the incredible, unbelievable hoops to make the case that somebody is not capable of living on the street. And in fact, on our list of the top 14, 3 people have died on the streets of Hollywood, is pretty cumbersome. So I'm going to tackle that because I feel like we have such rich information documenting these people's lives for the last 4 or 5 years. And so I spent a good deal of time meeting with people. I met with the head of Department of Mental Health, the medical director for DMH, talked to some people in Washington, read a couple books, started to do some comprehensive case studies on people that we have followed and how complicated it's been to help them. And so that was and I went out of state, which is something they actually demand that you do, that you actually leave your workplace and allow yourself to really do a deep dive into the research. Which, as I said, I've never taken 2 weeks away from my job in my life, except when I've been on maternity leave. So it was quite a remarkable respite. And the staff, I have to commend Joe and Devin and Matthew and Lauren for holding down the fort while I was gone. And what we're going to think about in the future is, because the savings come in for my salary, to either bring Sarah back or some other people to help, fill in on some project work when I'm out of the office over the next 2 years. So I'm pretty excited. In another couple months, I think I'll be prepared to share with you more of what I'm learning. But the cool thing is that in talking to several people in this world, this is a problem all across America. The kind of complete dysfunctionality of the mental health system, and people who are completely left marginalized on our streets in this country. So I got a lot of affirmation that I'm working on an issue that is extremely current.
Good job.
And then the last thing, we're very excited, we're gonna have this open house, the 25th, it's gonna have a Oscars theme, and we're kind of figuring out what that might look like. We know it'll involve a red carpet and, maybe some paparazzi taking your
What's the
pictures.
dress
and
code?
then-
There will be paparazzi.
There will be paparazzi,
Yes.
okay.
What's the dress code for this?
Well, come in your tuxedo. I mean, seriously. We want you to feel festive, or by that time, the Oscars will be set up down the street. So please RSVP to Lauren, bring others, bring people from your office. We want to have a couple hundred people here. So looking forward to that. So instructions for tonight. Lauren, you've been the logistics queen. Do you want to explain what we're doing and where we're going?
So we're going to be meeting, we actually have enough time, we can meet on the patio at Food and Bounty and have our appetizers and drinks. And then we'll head inside to the dining room. So Food and Bounty is located at the Sunset Gower Studios. Everyone should be on the security list, whether you're walking or driving. So you're just going to check in with security. Parking's been covered by the studios. And
What entrance do we come in off of
Sunset.
Sunset Boulevard?
off Sunset,
By the
yes.
Technicolor
With the
building?
colors,
Yeah.
It's the Technicolor
Yes.
building.
We're across from the Siren Building.
Correct.
Right,
I
yeah.
think it's
Studios.
60-40
60-40 Sunset.
And Bill's gonna join us there. He had to be up north today, but he'll be joining us for dinner.
Bill?
Bill Humphrey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's
All right.
hosting.
Well, we're on time.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Be my,
Good job.
further experience for next year. I welcome everybody, new guys now. I thank everybody for all your support.
Oh, you could have dinner.
It's gonna be fun. A lot of things gonna happen. Another Sunset Dine, another dinner.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
I enjoyed it, but more Italian food.
More Italian food. All right, guys. Adjourn.